Do we want to go into the Meghan Markle story and see what happened there? Why don't we go into
We
it,
know
right?
you do.
No, I mean, listen, it's what everybody's talking about. It's what everybody. Have you guys had a chance to watch some of the highlights?
I've seen some of the clips.
So you tell us yourself.
Well, give us the rundown of what
No,
I've
I
actually
want to hear from you. What do you think about the whole thing when you watch it? What is your, what do you
Okay,
think?
so-
Because there's 2-3 different sides
Right.
of the story.
So
Where are
she
you
go-
at, and who do you believe?
She goes on Oprah.
Yeah.
And she does a sit-down interview.
Yeah.
Now, was the interview just with her, and then Harry popped in at the end, or
Yeah,
'cause
Harry
it
popped
seemed
in
like-
later on. So, you know, more than Super Bowl. So there was more people watching the
Yeah.
interview than the Super Bowl. 96.4 million viewers watched. However, according to some analysts or ratings drew higher numbers than the Super Bowl. If you watch it, you couldn't. There was 50 commercials every 2 minutes. Every time you watch in the interviews, commercial, and apparently they didn't take any money. That was transparent right up front. Oprah said, to make sure everybody knows, have you gotten paid for this? Zero. And do you know any of the questions I'm going to be asking? She says, I know none of the questions you're going to be asking.
And do you believe that?
Of course. Why
do.
do they need to take money for the interview? They're making so much everywhere else.
I believe Oprah is a GOAT. So Oprah is not somebody that would say something like that. It's Oprah. You're sitting with Oprah, who has got Harpo Productions, a billionaire. You know, you got to give her the props. So you're sitting with somebody that, dude, I'm not giving you any money for this because I'm going to give you the eyeballs if you come with me, right? So that's the numbers. That's what happens. But give
Gotcha.
us your
So
thoughts.
here are my 3 biggest
Yeah.
takeaways from this, because I think she's beautiful. I absolutely think she is gorgeous.
Out of everything, that's
Yes.
what you caught.
Number one.
Single
So
guy.
you didn't
Yes.
see the interview, just like,
I
oh
did
my
see
gosh,
the-
she's so beautiful.
I'm
I
just-
don't care. I believe you.
I'm just putting that
I
out
believe
there.
everything you're saying.
Into the atmosphere. If you want to know, like, just my thoughts on this princess, I think she's beautiful. Now, here are my three biggest takeaways. Number one, during the hoopla, the drama of her being in the family, the royal family, at what point she went, just like a business, she went to HR. Like, there's a human resources in the freaking palace to sort of complain about this situation here. I'm not sure how far that went, right? Number two, which is, say what you want, she was legitimately having suicidal thoughts, which you're marrying a prince, you come into this royal lifestyle, and next thing you know, a few years down the road, you're having suicidal thoughts, you're dealing with paparazzi, you're dealing with the drama. Even Harry said this is very reminiscent of what my mom was going through, Princess Di, who, in my opinion, is a GOAT, like an Oprah type. And then thirdly, which was sort of the biggest controversy, and they wouldn't name names, the family wanted to know how dark-skinned baby Archie would be when he was born, because she's, I think, mixed, half-half. He's obviously a ginger. I think they're thinking, please tell me this kid don't look like Blake Griffin. We hope not. So shout out Blake Griffin. But
Dunk on Kia.
yeah, I don't know.
just saw it for a second.
Yeah, you saw that right there, looking like a bag of Cheetos right there. But that was pretty controversial for the family. Like,
So funny.
and I'm not sure if it was Stephen
Blake
Colbert.
Griffin just went to the Nets. by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Blake, yeah. The Nets are going to probably
Yeah.
win a championship this year. But anyway, side note. Shocker, the royal family in the greatest imperialist country ever to exist might be a tad racist. They might be. So there was definitely some drama going on
Where are you at,
there.
Tom? With
You know,
this?
and the racism card is what's being played a lot right now. The biggest loser in all this is Adam Silver in the NBA. They had their All-Star game that night, their big showcase. CBS destroyed it. It absolutely destroyed it in the ratings. So they go head-to-head, and that's got to scare the NBA. One of the biggest winners, Gayle King, she deserves a raise at CBS. Her best friend's Oprah. She gets the interview over there. They had to pay $7 to $9 million in licensing fees, but Gayle King, kudos to her. You know, this was a total recipe for disaster for the royal family when Meghan Markle entered the family, because she was a celebrity. She's wired for ambition. She's an ambitious individual. All right. She knew how to play this status that she was about to get. And she wasn't a huge celebrity, but she already had the hunger and the drive for working her way up in the showbiz world and making it in Hollywood. You know, I don't blame her at all. I saw this coming. I didn't think this would work with Harry eventually. It's the worst case scenario for the royals because they're all about tradition and conforming and consistency and honoring that crown and keeping that whole thing going, right? And she's about, I don't know any about this in my history. I'm thinking about myself and my family, and clearly Harry is all in on board with her. I went in thinking that I was going to be anti-Meghan Markle on this thing, that like she was being opportunistic to a negative degree where she was really taking advantage of this. But I bought some of her stories that she was talking about. And, you know, they got to Hollywood, and they've already signed a 9-figure deal with Netflix. They have a $100 million deal with Netflix to produce documentaries and entertainment. They have a huge podcast contract, so they're making a ton of money. But this thing's going to get crazy because this is the last thing that the royal family needs, and this is the biggest story, and it's an American that's going to do this damage to them ultimately. And then if you want to talk about Piers Morgan, which is a fascinating story, right, with him storming off the set of Good Morning Britain today, basically their version of Good Morning America. But do you know his backstory with Meghan?
They met for 90 minutes. They sat down. They talked. They got along, and there was something going on.
Yeah, they got
together. It was a relationship.
This was back in 2015, and apparently they really hit it off. They were having a pint and maybe another cocktail or something. And according to Pierce, when he tells this story, they really hit it off. He must have had something for her, probably, right? He puts her in a cab after that. She goes to a party, and that's the party she met Harry at. And he said that she never talked to him again. So there might be some really deep-rooted personal feelings there with Piers. And it all exploded this morning, which is only going to keep the story going because he walked off the set. He stormed off the set. He took off his mic, exit stage left.
That's exactly what Meghan wants.
Oh, my God. So this is just playing up even bigger and bigger.
Explain that, what the Piers Morgan part of the story is. That what happened this morning?
He's defending the royals on this
what
one.
happened
he's defending.
this morning?
He doesn't have Meghan's
What
back.
happened
Gotcha.
this morning is somebody came in on the show and called out Piers. This guy doesn't like
the weather
Piers.
guy.
The weather guy does not like Piers at all.
On Good Morning Britain.
On Good Morning Britain, and kind of called him out. And he said, well, you don't understand how challenges this has been to have been Meghan and Harry and all they've gone through of being part of this limelight, and how the media has trashed them, and the media has not been friendly to them outside of the wedding. That's pretty much what he said. And then Piers like, I'm not having this. He just walked out. Yeah. And
So
the guy
actually,
said, and
he's a king of publicity stunts. That was a brilliant move by Piers.
Pierce is a genius. I mean, you have to realize he's
Genius.
Oh, there's no question about it. He understands marketing. Let me say that part. I wouldn't say he knows Pythagorean theorem, but I would say he is a very good marketer, and he knows how to put a story out there. So you can't say no to it.
You don't find him annoying at all?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, gotcha.
No. I didn't.
Yeah.
I never. But
No, I just want to get your thoughts
you ever
on
met
that.
an annoying genius? Like it's
Yeah, he's over there. He's
there's-
sitting over there.
There
Our
are
friend Kai.
Genius comes in many different colors. They can be
Yeah.
jerks. They can be annoying. They can be attractive. They can be ugly. They can be a lot of things. So let's go back to the story.
Yeah. Do you have sympathy for her?
I do not.
You do not? I'd love to hear your
Let me
perspective.
explain
Yes.
where I may and where I don't.
Go.
Okay, so here's where I'm at with the interview. So I watched the interview and I'm going through. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Opens up. Hey, we're not paying for it. You're not doing this. It's open to any questions. Great. She starts going into the story. Well, you know, what happened with this? And then Oprah showed some stuff. You know, Katie had the bump. And they're like, oh, wow, look how she's appreciating the bump. But when, Meghan would put it, look, she can't get her hands off her bump. I mean, that's just true. You can't do something like that. Or then, hey, here's Katie eating guacamole or avocado, and look how responsible she's been with her health. And then the same story with Meghan eating avocado. Look what she's doing, destroying water and all this. And you should see these articles. It's pretty bad when you compare it.
You're saying that Meghan was getting the raw end of the deal. over there.
Meghan in UK was treated like Trump was treated in US. To kind of give you an idea about how that was treated. The treatment was she couldn't do anything right.
Right.
I fully agree
And
with
Kate
that.
Middleton was getting all the love. And
Kate
she
Middleton,
was
who was
Princessa.
Kate Middleton was getting all the love because Kate Middleton was like, I understand the traditions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, she's British.
Kate is more, so it's not about, so Grace Kelly. If you tell a story about Grace Kelly, do you remember Grace Kelly?
Yes.
Who was Grace
Famous
Kelly?
actress that
Famous
married
actress
the,
who was
Prince
much
of-
bigger than Meghan. Meghan wasn't at the level of Grace Kelly. Grace
Right, I
Kelly
never heard
was-
of Meghan Markle
That's
before
the point. Yeah, there was
this whole
Suits was
thing.
a good show.
Yeah, but not.
I didn't even know
not
she was
even
on that
close.
show.
Guys, there's
Yeah.
Grace
Right.
Kelly, and then there's
She's not
Meghan.
Angelina Jolie. She's
No,
not Scarlett
it's
Johansson.
not
she was
even
an
comparing
actress.
to Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
The only one person you compare to when you're selling a house or you're buying a house or you're buying a card, what do you look for?
Comps.
The comp is the only fair comp is who? Grace Kelly. It's not Princess Diana. It's Grace Kelly. Okay. So if you compare to Grace Kelly was graceful. Grace Kelly came into the Monaco family. She's like, hey, had her own identity. She still wanted to do her own things. What she didn't like later on, if you go to the museum and kind of learn about her, she still wanted to do acting. You know, one of the bigger directors at the time, who was the bigger director that did
Hitchcock?
I don't know if it was Hitchcock. One of them reached out to her. It was a guy that she had already done movies with before. Says, I want to do another movie with you. And she says, I can't because of royal family. She says, I want to do it. So he convinced her. She went up to them. They're like, you can't do it because now you're part of the... So she's like, finally, she says, okay, I won't do the movie, which makes sense. You're now part of the royal family. You kind of know what you gotten into. Meghan, on the other hand, you know, she's been married before. A lot of issues with her husband, ex-husband, when she was with him. And, you know, and again, this is what you read about, right? I'm not somebody that knows. I haven't interviewed everybody to know about everyone's stories. Her and her dad didn't speak for a couple years. Her dad got a letter from Meghan that he was thinking about going public with it. Every 30 days, he says, I'm going to bring it out until she contacts me. So apparently there was something going on with the dad. And a lot of people in Hollywood, you know, maybe didn't really get along with her for her, you know, pompous attitude a little bit, what people have said about her. Now, let's go to the interview. Back to the interview.
Yep.
Oprah's doing the interview, and they're going through it. A couple different things came up. One was the baby. One was the bump. The other one was how when Archie, when she was pregnant, they said, we're not going to provide security for your baby.
Right.
Or a title or anything like that.
Or title or for the baby. Which, by the way, do you believe, and every time Oprah asked, who said that?
They would not
Who
reveal
said
it,
that?
right?
No, she wouldn't say that. She would say, it's what I heard. It's what Harry and others told me. So it's nothing ever that was direct. She would deflect and say, it's what Harry told me. It's what Harry told me. It's like when you go buy a house, and I'm talking to the husband. It's like, oh, I love this house. It's great, but your wife isn't here. And I say, so do we want to make an offer? And you say what? Let me speak to my wife. Let's call her right now. Well, no, she needs to see the house first, right? So she would deflect. It's a great skill set of a client to do that. It's let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my wife. It's great. I've been through it long enough to know that this is a normal process when you're selling. So she kind of deflected on Harry. Hey, let me talk to Harry. Hey, let me talk to Harry. Hey, it's what Harry said. Oh, so you didn't hear this? No, but Harry told me and someone told Harry. So there wasn't credibility about whether the kid was going to get security or not, protection or not. Now, here's the thing. Amongst us, do you actually believe they're not going to give the baby security? I don't believe that. Because if you don't give the baby security, who are you making look like an idiot? Yourself. Imagine the publicity stunt if you didn't provide security for the baby. Okay, imagine that. Now, do I see something like that taking place and saying, hey, you know, let me tell you what happened. We're not going to, you know what if we don't give him security? Oh, you know what, your baby doesn't even. So imagine like some kind of a challenge, an argument took place. And then she says, they threatened to not give security. Yeah, but that's kind of like saying, hey, you know what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to kick your ass. Dude, I'm not going to kick your ass. It's just something that happened. So we don't know where that went, right? We don't know that part of it. Again, we just have to believe what she's saying in this interview. Then there was a part where, a conversation about Meghan's baby is of color. You know, like you brought it up a little bit at the beginning. And, there's this awkward part of the interview where Oprah Winfrey says, wait, what?
Yeah.
Who said this? And Meghan's like, it's like a 5-second pause in the interview. Wait, you mean to tell me somebody said that? Do you think there was a part of this because of race? She's not answering. Then Oprah says, well, if it's this, I mean, if it's the first baby that could be of a different color coming in, maybe that makes them feel uncomfortable. And she says, well, her words, if that's the assumption you're making, it's a safe assumption to be making. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of like...
She answered it without answering it.
No, she says it that, hey, Oprah, if that's the assumption you're making, that's a pretty good assumption to be making. So, look, you know, when you're around folks long enough and you sit down with people, you kind of know how to, sell and market on all that. And then later on, hey, she asked for help. That part I actually believe. And the reason why I believe that part is because, in business and life, whatever you want when sometimes you get it, not everybody can handle it. The limelight is not for everybody. Because what comes with the limelight? What comes with the limelight?
Pressure, expectations, focus.
Drama.
Okay, pressure of what though? Expectation of what? So actually think about expectation. What are the most annoying pressure and expectation that comes out if you become famous and you're in the limelight. I'm talking like highest level, like herself.
Being exposed, things like that.
Such as what? So actually process it. One is looks. Look at her. She's getting older. Look at the skin. Look at this. So the judgment is hardcore on what? What you look like, right? What else is it?
Mistakes? Anything
Mistakes, judgment on your past
What you
marriage,
eat, yeah, your
what you
body.
eat, what you do.
Everything, literally everything. Everything is
single.
you're in a glass box. Like you're being looked at, judged, reviewed.
So if you go from
all
this
that.
kind of, Grace Kelly had it, and she was the same. So it's not like the day she got married to Monaco and she became more famous. No, she was famous the day before she got married. She was famous the day after she got married. Meghan was here. She went, bam, right? The world now. So I can see that happening. You needing to talk to somebody. I can actually see that part.
I can play a little counterpoint to you.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you can watch the same interview and maybe get a little different take. Number one, when she said, I'm going to refer to Harry, maybe I looked at it like she was protecting that person that said it. She didn't want to expose him at that time. She already said that
But
it wasn't
I would
the
have never
queen.
said Harry because you're also putting the responsibility on Harry. You're dividing Harry with the family. That's the one person
Well, he
you don't
did that when he moved to the U.S.
No, that's not the point. No. You have to know if I'm putting it on you, I'm almost making the division between you and your family wider and wider, which it just shows maybe you are who people say you are. Maybe you are. So everything, the blame was on Harry. She didn't take any of the responsibility. She says, it's what I heard through Harry. It's what I heard through Harry. She said that 3 times.
She knows how to deflect
I'm
a
a
little bit.
guy that's a diffused, unified glue. She was dividing him and the family hardcore.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.